Okay, now I see it. It's going.
Super smooth.
Hey there, welcome.
You suck.
I forgot what we're called. Hey there, you fuckers. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Corey.
And we are the Couch Play Cousins because, get this, we are cousins. And we play games together, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
So today's topic, we're going to be talking about Game of the Year. And
Ooh.
Game of the Decade?
Yeah, maybe if
If we have the time.
Yeah.
But first, you know what? Happy New Year.
Ooh.
Corey, you got any resolutions this year? Corey, you got any resolutions this year?
I'd like to make more money. I know, a very selfish goal, but
Wow.
I'm a selfish person.
Yeah, I'll say. I actually, a little bit ago before we started this recording, I accidentally ate a moldy piece of cheese. So my New Year's resolution is to not die. So we'll see how that goes. This might be our first and only. Okay. So yeah, I guess we play a lot of games, but I don't think we play, we don't play every game. So I guess we should say that going forward is like, we're not going to, be able to account for it. Like there's, anytime you do like a, game of the year kind of thing, there's always a bunch of like cryberries out there. Like, you forgot about like Fire Emblem. It's like, you know what? Well, we don't fucking play every game.
What I think he's trying to say is we have lives.
We have,
Small ones.
We try.
Insignificant ones, but we have them.
Yes. But that being said, I think we play a fair amount of games. So let's start with you if you're okay with that.
All right,
Or do you want me to start? It's up to you, man.
I'll go off.
Okay. So tell me, before you tell me a game of the year, let's start with runner-ups.
All right.
So
I got,
what's like a game that like did it for you, but it didn't quite get the climax?
all right. I got a little eclectic bunch here. I'll start with one of the good ones, Resident Evil 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought it was a very faithful adaptation of the original.
So, and this is just to be clear,
Yes.
This is one of your runner-ups.
Runner-ups,
Okay.
yes. I know it's a strong runner-up.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, like I said, a very faithful recreation of the original. Graphics were great. They kept it, the same system almost. When
was the last time you actually played the original? I'm curious.
That would have been years ago. Probably at least early college years. I'm thinking that had to have been at least almost 8 years ago. Maybe.
Wow, you're just being transparent. You're just letting everyone know how old as fuck you are.
I know. Yeah, trust me. I'm basically dead.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Resident Evil 2. I thought they stayed faithful, which was the most important thing. These remakes that keep pumping out, they get our nostalgia beans flaring up here in this last year. They keep pumping them out, but I think this was a good one. One of the good recreations. They stayed just faithful enough. Small tweaks here, a little bit of creativeness, but I think it was a good one. Next one I thought was
and this is still runner-up.
Yes,
still talking about
yeah,
runner-up.
absolutely.
Corey's breaking the fucking rules, so
I know. So I got Metro Exodus here. For all you guys who played the original, I think the original was hands down one of the more attractive first-person shooters that came out of its genre. And then Metro Exodus, they really cranked it up. They, with the whole Xbox One X and some of its capabilities, whatever you feel about, the whole Gamer Pass situation. But I think
was that an Xbox only game, or
no, you could have got on PC too.
Oh, okay.
But I felt
What'd you play? Did you play it on Xbox?
I actually played it on the PC.
Oh, he's one of those.
I know, Master Race, right?
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was it felt right in line with the original graphically. They went with the same concepts that of course, post-apocalyptic Russian sense of things. I thought that was good, and I think my final one for runner-ups is, and I'm gonna go indie here a little bit, Remnant from the Ashes.
Oh wow!
Cool. Yeah, what a treat of a game. Of course, they offered it on PS4, but I played it on PC again.
Yeah, douchebag.
But oh man, I cannot tell you what a interesting Soulsborne-esque, but third-person shooting game that really just treated you with this experience where you got to go through the game and re-roll the campaign, which was what an interesting concept. You didn't get a certain boss this one playthrough in this campaign. Let's try it again. Each one of those bosses gave a different weapon. The concept was very Cthulhu-esque, I'd say. Things coming in from different dimensions, very trippy, but it really rewarded you for playing the game over and over and over again. Remnant from the Ashes, a real good treat if you guys like replayability.
Is that recent? I feel like I just heard of that game. Well, that wasn't from 2019, was it? That was older.
No, that's newer. That's
2019?
Yeah, I think that was April, I think.
I guess that would make sense because we're talking about Game of the Year, so the whiskey is settling in. Yeah, that's cool. I've actually heard a lot. I haven't played either of the last two games that you talked about. You selfishly took 3 runner-ups. But I didn't play Oh my gosh. I haven't played... You're just going to have to say the name for me.
I'm going to say Metro Exodus.
I haven't played that one, but I've heard really good things, and I've heard really good things about the original. I've just never gotten around to playing it. And the Remnant game, that's something that was getting a lot of accolades lately, but it's another one I haven't played a lot, or played at all, but I've heard really good things. So I can't really agree or disagree with you on any of those. That sounds really good. But the one thing I'll agree with, if we're doing runner-ups here still,
all right, yeah.
My runner-up, I only have one. Well, I mean, you know what? No, you did 2, so I'm going to do 2.
Oh, all right.
Well, no, you did 3, but I'm going to do 2 because I'm still better than you. But I'm just following the vibe here. Okay, so the first one is, in fact, I'm going to agree with you here, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I think they did such a fantastic job on that game. Like, they somehow made it like new, but at the same time, it still feels exactly how I remember
That's how I felt it, right?
It was so cool. And Mr. X, I actually forgot how fucking like scary that dude was. Like, and I don't think that this was in the original, but that motherfucker, you can't even save your game safely.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like when it comes to those like survivor horror games, I'm all about like, I get to a save point. I'm such a pussy that like I'll stay in there for like 2 minutes and I'll think about what else do I want to do next.
You know what that really reminded me of? Resident Evil Biohazard. The old uncle.
That was a good game.
The old uncle. I played the VR version, but the same concept. He was almost free roam,
PC,
moving around.
VR, he's uppity.
Moving around the entire map. No feelings of being safe. Everywhere you go, you might step out, catch a rake to the face. So it was a very reminiscent feeling about that.
Yeah, catching rakes to faces, I get it.
What about a game changer that was, too? When he came out, it completely changed the entire feeling of the game leading up to that, which most games don't pull that on you. Most games don't want to risk that.
No, I was like legitimately scared. I actually remember thinking, like, they're going to turn so many people off this game, like doing that. But no, like that, like everyone loved that. And I was really surprised by that. But I thought, and even me, like the pussy that I am, when I was in that, like the little save room with like my inks, like, should I save now? And then he just like fucking comes through the wall. I was like, motherfucker.
My progress.
Yeah, honestly, like I quit. Like once I ran into him, I quit playing that game for a week. I was like fucking terrified. That's how much of a pussy I am in that game. But then I fought through it. I'm so glad I did. That game is so good, and yet it still has a lot of that. A lot of all those nostalgic points that it hits. And it's just, and you know what? Like, I can't say that it's like the best controlling game in the world, but it controls fine enough. Like it controls like a Resident Evil game. And I appreciate that like RE4 kind of style.
The tank controls, you kind of coast around corners and stuff.
But it like surprisingly, like given how good the visuals and everything are, like surprisingly, I ran into no hiccups. I actually contradicting myself, I actually played that on PC.
Oh, you bastard.
Yeah, I had the settings on high.
Ooh.
Yeah. But oh no, it was awesome. And I'm really looking forward to what Resident Evil 3 now that they announced that. Nemesis, I don't know. We'll see if I can even get through that one, but I'm pretty excited.
A lot of people loved Res 2, and I'll be honest, Res 3 was probably my favorite Resident Evil there. Nemesis, just something about that.
I think that's like a bit of a cult classic, actually.
Yeah,
I think Resident Evil 3, it's kind of like Final Fantasy games, right? Like there's people that love 6 and there's people that love 7. That's kind of like what these Resident Evils are.
The people who love 7 are the right ones, by the way. So.
Yeah, well, yeah. We're those millennials. But yeah, so So Resident Evil 2, like I feel it's the same way. Like either people love Resident Evil 2 the most or they love Resident Evil 3 the most. And you know what? I actually don't know. Like, cause I think I'm more of a Resident Evil 2 because that one is the one that really sold me on that genre. But Resident Evil 3 was also a phenomenal game, so I'm definitely not going to shit on it or tell you you're wrong, even though you might be.
It's just the whole stars concept and, and hunting them down was just so neat.
But
stars.
Stars. Like, come on. Anyway, but no, it is very good. I am excited about the third one. Anyway, so that's my first runner-up. So, yes, we're on the same page on that one. Because we're cousins, we feel each other's feelings.
Got a vibe.
Of course, yeah. Okay, so I wasn't planning on doing this, but like I said, since you did several, I'm gonna talk about one more. Another runner-up that I'm glad you did 2 runners up because I was kind of in the toss-up about this game for Game of the Year, and I'm glad I actually kind of get to give it an honorable mention now. And after talking about what a pussy I was for Resident Evil 2, you're gonna think like, wow, you are a pussy. Well, after
Animal
I tell you
Crossing.
this one, yeah, no, I'm not an Animal Crossing person, but hey, I'm not gonna go to. I have nothing against it. I'm just not into it. That was a rabbit hole, but I'm gonna have to give another runner-up mention to Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh, I got that one. I have not played it yet.
I highly recommend it.
Oh,
and
man.
you know what? It sucks that Nintendo has this reputation for these like kiddie games because, and make no mistake, Luigi's Mansion is definitely like a child-friendly game for sure.
Of course.
But this game, it's so good looking. It's one of the best looking games on the Switch to date. It's phenomenal. Even in handheld mode, it looks like an animated film.
Really?
And all the animations like of Luigi himself and everything, they're fantastic. Definitely play this.
What about
game.
the mechanics though? That's the
biggest mechanics thing. Are good, not perfect, but like they're good. Like from a Nintendo standpoint, you can expect that to be like probably a cut above the rest.
Okay,
that's but they're not as good as like some of other Nintendo's stuff. But I still think that they're. I feel like I shouldn't have said any of that because that probably all comes off wrong. But no, it is the physics in this game are unreal. First of all, if you have OCD like I do, you will spend so much of your life sucking everything up. I'm just going to pause for effect. So, I couldn't leave a nook unsucked. But, it's a game that's built heavily off of physics engine. That's something that Nintendo's been doing a lot lately. But, there's actually like, I don't want to like spoil anything, but there's like basically each level of the hotel that you access, which now that I say that out loud, it's not really a mansion. So, well, I guess it's a mansion. Anyway, so each level, each floor that you go to is a completely different theme, and they get really cool.
Okay,
and one of which is more of a like a deserty theme without like saying anything. And the physics in there, like you actually like suck up the sand and form everything. You think to yourself,
that's pretty neat.
It looks so current gen that you'd be surprised that this is running on the Switch, but it looks so good. And it's a very fun game. And the other thing that I really appreciate about it, it's actually more difficult than some of their games that they release. So I was actually surprised how many times I died. But the other thing was they brought back that old school, like just bosses, like really interesting, fun, thematic bosses. That even the last boss presented enough of a challenge, and I was just really, really satisfied, like all the way through that game. It will tickle your OCD a little bit in like a bad way, but that being said, I can't recommend that game enough. I feel like it's like a sleeper, sort of like a sleeper game of the year contender.
You got me kind of jazzed to pick that one up and play it. I have it sitting in my back burner catalog. And I might bump it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely play that. I've never even played 1 or 2.
Okay.
So for those listening that like want to like,
I'm in the same boat. So
yeah, I had like no interest in this game, but then like the more I saw it, I was like, oh okay. And then I played this. I was like, this is. I think I even tweeted it. I was like, this might be the best game of 2019 that I've played. But anyway, it's a runner up because I thought more about that. But it is it is a fantastic game, and I highly recommend you play it. But anyway, so now we'll move on. So we did our runners up, and let's actually talk about the cream of the crop, though. What was your actual game of the year?
It's been put out there a little bit, but I honestly thought I was going to...
This better be a good one, because I'm going to make fun of it if it's not.
Well, Jedi Fallen Order, so you can attack me in the Star Wars fan base.
I'm just kidding. That's a very good game.
There's a lot of reasons behind it, honestly, because EA and their bastardly ways...
Wait. You're actually... That you're being on... Okay.
Honest,
No, I thought you were saying that to like...
No,
I don't know why I thought you were saying that as a joke. That makes me sound like a horrible person.
That's okay. No, you're going to get so much hate from all the Star Wars fans.
I am literally going to get shit on.
Yeah. No, I thought it... I think it was just partially some of the...
My dog just entered the room, if you can hear some pitter-patter.
I think it was just partially that wanting to have that satiation of a good Star Wars game.
Yeah.
EA...
Can I point something out? You're
Yeah.
saying some pretty big words for being drinking.
I know, right? I actually have a dictionary in front of me right now.
Are you? Yeah, okay.
But, with Star Wars Battlefront being the hot mess, pile of garbage that it was, and all these other Star Wars games, coming out and teasing that, true Star Wars narrative that people wanted to play. And I've been craving that for a long time. They finally, did it right with a weird but interesting mixture of that Soulsborne-esque save point, respawn the enemies. The storyline was good. They didn't go too hard into it. And I'm not going to give too much for spoilers, but mechanically even the fighting in the game was. It wasn't very much like, you see other Star Wars games, there's like two guys with Nerf noodles slapping each other and hoping one hits you. The lightsaber combat was actually mechanically very good. And with the skill tree, very RPG-esque, it gave that, exact craving that I've been wanting for a long time. And I don't know why it's taken them so long to figure this out. But they did it, and it did well for me.
Well, that was Respawn?
Yes,
it Respawn that did that?
So,
were they the ones... I might be completely off here, but were they the ones that were working on that like Uncharted style Star Wars game?
I think so. It got canceled, and I think they brought it back.
Was that Respawn?
I think you might be right.
Okay, well, let the record show that we don't know that for sure, but anyway. Well, okay, so I will say, and I have played Jedi Fallen Order, and I actually wasn't as super kind to it in my to put it lightly. Here's the thing, and this is my only. Well, I'm not challenging.
No,
if that's your game of the year, it's your game. My problem that I had with that game personally was just the actual like controls kind of felt like stickier than I would want it, and I found so many glitches in the AI that I wasn't fond of. But I will say that I really did like where it was going. I do think that is the best Star Wars game that we've seen in a while. But I think, and I was sort of, my thought was that like everyone was sort of putting it on this pedestal because it was the best Star Wars game in a while. But that's almost like not saying much.
You're right. I agree with that. I think if there was other past Star Wars games that even held a candle to this one I think wouldn't have shined so brightly. Yeah. And you're right. I think it wouldn't have stuck out as much as it did. And there is that kind of fandom base, I guess you could say, that propped it up on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. And I do honestly think that if there was anything similar out there that would have satiated that urge, even before this happened, I think this would have been a middle of ground game for the year. But I think just if they finally caved and did the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the no microtransactions goes a long way for EA.
Yeah,
And I like... And that's the other thing is like I think that it is a good game. Like I'm very critical, but I do think that it is a good game. I wasn't as invested in it as other people were, just simply from the control standpoint. Like to me, it almost sort of felt like it was trying to copy Uncharted, but it didn't do it quite as well as Uncharted. But that being said, I did like it. But then again, I'm also one of the assholes out there that did like Battlefront, like the first one, not the second one.
Okay,
fuck the second one.
Okay,
the first one was good until everyone started rocking the DL-44 handgun. That just fucking wrecked the game. But until then, I thought Battlefront was a pretty good game. Like, yes, it lacks some multiplayer stuff, but I thought I don't know. I guess that's as far as I
can agree. I can agree. For an arena-based shooter, they had a little something going there, but the balance of the game, like you said, was pretty terrible once they released certain weapon systems into it.
Yeah. So sweet. So that's your game of the year.
Yeah. Hopefully next year's a better one.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's the more I look into the year, the more I realize that there were a lot of actually, I was initially thinking that I was going to make game of the year, my like Luigi's Mansion my game of the year, but and then I realized what other games came out that year, and then I thought about it more. So my game of the year, which may shock you, but also might not shock you, is another Nintendo game. My dog's back in the room. Mario Maker 2.
Really?
Yeah, I was okay. So there might be a lot of people out there that that'll say something like, "Well, the first one is not much better than the first." I don't fucking know about any of that shit. But here's the thing: I don't care. I didn't have a Wii U, so I didn't get to experience the first Mario Maker. So this was the first experience that I had. And I thought to myself that I wasn't going to get that involved, especially in the maker aspects of it. I thought my thinking was I'm going to go play Unlimited Mario Maker from a bunch of more creative people than me that make really neat shit. And first off, it has that. It's an endless Mario game, like classic Mario.
Okay.
Even using the more 3D art styles, it has that retro sort of 2D platformer effect. And actually the ones that I favor are the more retro ones, like the Super Mario World themes. It's a lot of fun, but they have a single player campaign in that game, and it's surprisingly great. But even more so is then you start getting online and you can download some of the most ridiculous shit. I don't know how some people have this amount of time. I remember when me and you were kids. Remember we used to play RPG Maker and shit like that? We used to build shit, inappropriate shit, but still, even then, I don't feel like we had the time that some of these people seem to have that make this. But you know what? I congratulate them for it and I support it because it creates a lot of cool content for us to play. It is way better than I was expecting it to be. The online features suck, or at least they have. I know they've done some updates, but they're not great. But it's great, and even the single player campaign was fantastic. But what really surprised me was how much fun the maker aspect of it was. And I actually ended up making 4 or 5 levels, and I know that that's nothing compared to what a lot of people do with it. But for me, I didn't even know if I was going to make one. And I just made them sort of consecutively, and I just have that sort of as you do, you try to make the most ridiculous shit that no one can beat. And then you just laugh at all the tries and fails that everyone plays it for. But it was great. And then other friends that you have that have the game, you can say, hey, check out my level, and you can send it to them through a code.
Kind of sounded almost like Happy Wheels, the indie game where people would build, I know, it's a rough comparison, but people would build a lot of levels and let people try them out and make the most elaborate things.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like any maker game. I mean, even RPG Maker, as I referenced a bit ago, you could kind of relate it to that, where it's just you're making a Mario game. And I just had a ton of fun with that game. And if I look back at 2019, because that's what this is all about, right? The game of the year is what you really, really just enjoyed and thinking about it from a gamer perspective. That game brought me more fun than any other game, on a consistent basis. I don't think I played a single level that wasn't a good time. And even the simple ones, there's some really inventive shit on there too. Some people, there's this guy that made a tennis game and it's it fucking blows my mind that people think of this shit. But you know what? It's fun. And it's another one. If you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend it. Even if nothing else, if you did nothing but play the single player levels, it's still worth it. There's 100+ single player campaigns, and they're all pretty neat, stuff you wouldn't see in a traditional Mario game either, which is really cool. So if you like that old school 3D platforming game, and It actually took me back because I didn't realize that was. I almost thought that was a 2018 game there for a minute, but it was really good. There's some other games I could give some shout outs to, but so if you didn't hear something out there and you're thinking about typing something, like fuck off, But I gotta give it to Mario Maker too.
All right, man, that was a good choice.
Yeah. So we got some. I think we got some time. I think we should. You know what? Actually, before we start talking about decade, so before we get into that route,
okay,
were there any, if you can recall, were there any did you have any games that just biggest disappointments of the year? Is there anything that just missed the mark for you?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. And if you listen to this channel enough, you'll begin to know my fetish for mechs and anything mech-like. Ooh. Anything giant robot-y. Anthem broke my heart this year.
Yeah, I think that broke a lot of people's hearts.
My God. Whoever made the decision in that game to separate the maps that shatters your immersion when you're flying around in a giant mech suit. Oh, I wish terrible things upon that person because really, that was just a poor decision game-wise. Even if you just had a seamless map, I could have probably tolerated the garbage story that came along with it. So, man, that was the rough one for me.
Well, I don't think you're alone in that one. I think pretty sure the fucking developer didn't they quit? They shut it down.
I think so.
Yeah, that's when you know what's going on. Well, and oh man, that was hot off the heels off of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Destiny. That's not the
they
same
labeled
developer.
that game as the game to challenge Destiny 2 and take the reins over from
Anthem.
it. Yes, and you saw how that worked out really well.
Yeah, they built it up too high. It's kind of like Sea of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you know what? That's a good. Yeah,
excellent
if you had a
comparison.
runner up.
Yeah.
For disappointment of the year, Sea of Thieves might be one of them. I know we were looking forward to that game. You know what? Anthem, I think I said it from the beginning. When that game announced, I said, well, we'll see. and then whenever it went down, I was like, well, yeah. I feel like that's actually a very big theme that I'm sure you'll hear as we keep these things going is, games this generation are a lot of hype and promise and then just under deliveries, which is it's very sad because some of them really do so. And to its credit, I will say, because I did play a little bit of Anthem when it first came out, when it was in that beta form, and the controls were surprisingly really, really good. And that's just something that unfortunately is a problem today in today's day and age. But I thought Anthem handled it pretty well. Yeah. So I would say any other before I cut you off.
No.
No. Or cut you off. Sorry. Go ahead. Anyway, so my favorite. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you got me. I'm done. You broke me.
Okay. Because nobody wanted to know anyway. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and destroy myself publicly here. Well, I know that this is a divisive game, but I'm either gonna get destroyed or applauded. Probably destroyed or nothing because no one probably knows we exist yet. But hey, my biggest disappointment of the year, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, I know a lot of people that are pissed about that one.
Yeah. You know what? And I can comfortably say that because I was a humongous fan of the first two, the mainline series. All those off-brand fucking spin-off games. I tried a couple of them. I don't fucking care. And I don't want you to, some of those games are 3DS games and shit. They're don't fucking disperse.
Oh, I'm milking it for all it's worth.
I played it I played the original 2 on the PS2, and that's where I stopped. But I loved them. And I remember when I was a fucking kid, that was I could not, I remember the trailer for 3 when I was a kid, the tease or whatever it was. And here we are 15 years later.
10 years later.
Yeah. And they release it. And I played full disclosure, I haven't beat that game because I don't fucking care to beat that game because it sucks. And I'm sorry to say that, but it sucks because even the sound design is like nothing's right, but like they put all this like modern, like confetti throughout the whole fucking experience. Like you can't, like it used to be a pretty simple like battle system, but now it's like they got to have like a bajillion different little special effects things that you can do because that's what everybody needs nowadays. And on top of that, the story was, I mean, I know that that's like sort of a running gag with that game, but this time around it was like, ugh, like it was really lacking. And just the oh my gosh, the writing in this game was horrible. Anyway, I could go on about this game for like 10 minutes and how disappointing it was to me, but like just understand before you take your pants off and piss on me that I was really looking forward to this game. Like I was really hyped about it.
I personally know several people that were waiting what it felt like a good quarter of their life for this game to come out, and they had, you can imagine placing your hopes for that long on something, and for it to fall on its face. So I don't know, in the manner that it did.
It's kind of like my life story.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I don't know. I can't imagine how that feels. I've never been that emotionally invested in a series to see it like, I don't know, just kick you in the teeth like that. But yeah, I can't imagine how that felt.
Yeah. So, fuck that game. I you know what? And if I had a runner up, since we were kind of like marginally talking about runners up, you know what else disappointed me this year? Medieval remake.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that one too.
Did you play it?
Yeah, I tried. I did the demo, and I thought that was I tried with him the demo, it just didn't felt right. Something about it didn't feel right, and I couldn't put my finger on it.
I was like, I went to the store and I was like $30. I was like really excited. I got back home, I played it for like 10 minutes. I said, "Fuck this game! I can't." It's just. It like kept the PS2 controls and it just doesn't translate to today's standards. And like I know like Crash Bandicoot, like the Insane trilogy, fell into that same category. But at least that was like a platformer that like it still worked. It was still fine. This one like being like a full 3D moving environment, like it just didn't work as well. Or I don't know, like maybe I don't remember that game as well as I remember the Crash Bandicoots being younger, but I do remember really liking the old ones, but it just didn't translate. So that's my runner up. But anyway, yeah, I think you know what? We got some thought. Let's talk about the decade. If you're up for it.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. So and we like understandably we missed the boat here cuz it's after New Year's. We get it. So this is all previous game of the year, previous decade. All right, calm down.
The relevancy is gone.
Yeah, it's gone. That's all right. So 10 years. That's a long time. Can you even remember all the games you played in the past 10 years?
No, I absolutely cannot.
That's because your Alzheimer's is kicking in, you old fuck.
Early onset dementia.
So from what you do remember, what about... what's your game of the decade? You know what? Let's do runner-up on that too. What's
runner-up on game of the decade?
And how about we keep it to one this time, asshole?
Okay. I know not many people have played this, and it limited content, but I think they're going to keep building on the game. But I actually liked Mordhau. I know it may sound weird.
Is that the one? That's the one with the medieval times?
Yeah.
You were telling me about this. This is PC too, right?
PC game. This guy. Indie developer. And a lot of people go, "Why the hell is he picking Mordhau?" Well, you might start learning things about.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Mordhau, yeah. I think it's actually German for kill striker or something like that. I don't know. But I'm a sucker for games that have very little to do mechanically, but if you master the mechanics, it really sets you leaps and bounds ahead of other players. Okay. And the way they mechanically made this game with the parries and like bluff hits and things like that, and graphically, I thought it was a very beautiful game. They have enough content in it to keep you interested, multiplayer, PvP based. But really, if you got good at this game, it was something like a sight to behold how good people get in this game.
Yeah.
But I thought that, from left field, but Mordhau I thought was a terrific kind of like runner-up game. And I'm a sucker for indie games too, so you might see kind of like that side of me come out. What do you think?
So, I'm actually going to mention a game that I feel like doesn't get. I mean, I guess it does. Like it's got a lot of awards and everything as it is, but I just feel like it's not talked about nearly as much as it should be. Mm-hmm. And that is Rocket League. Yeah. Game of the decade. It's probably one of the games that I play more than anything else. I love Rocket League. And I had no intention of ever loving this game as much as I did, by the way. You and your fiancé were the ones that even like you were the people that told me about this game. Mm-hmm. I had never heard of this until you mentioned it. And then you showed me like videos of it on like the PlayStation Store or something like that.
I remember that.
I remember thinking, well, that sounds neat.
Yeah, when you hear about it, you're like, oh.
But like, you know, like it sounded marginally neat. Like I was like, okay, I'll check it out, but I'm not going to, like, I wasn't taking it seriously. But then I saw the videos and I thought, okay, we'll try it. Then the moment I played that game, I was hooked. I was terrible at it. And that's like part of what made it so great is like how bad I was at it initially. And then it's like as you keep with it and you get better, and it's just like it's like fucking like carrot cake. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's like here's two things. Like I hate. Like I don't hate. I'm not a fan of soccer or football. But at the same time, like I don't hate it, but I'm not a fan. And I'm completely against like racing is something I also don't get. Like cars, I'm just not that into cars. I mean, I play video games. Like, I'm not. Come on. But this combined those two things and made something just delicious. You know, like I don't even know. Like I know that I had like 200 some hours on like the Xbox version, and I'm sure that fucking like pales in comparison to what I have on like Switch and PC. So I have more hours in this than I'd like to talk about, but like it's so simple, but the controls are so you know what it is? It's like as close that I can think of to like perfection mechanically. Mm-hmm. Like there's no real dips. There's no problems with it. It functions perfect.
It's another one of those games where if you get good at the simple mechanics of it, you get amazing.
Yeah, and when I first like started to fly through the air and shit, it was like fucking Nirvana, Utopia. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm drinking. But that game just I just feel like it deserves to be talked about more often than it is, even though it's very popular in the esports world. Like I still feel like it's underrepresented, and I highly recommend anyone that hasn't played it to play it now. I mean, there's other games that I could, like give reference to, but Rocket League is just like when I think of, like literally any person I talk to, even if they're a non-gamer. Mm-hmm. If I say, look, if you're not even a gamer, check out Rocket League. Like it's that like universally like interesting. Anyway, I mean, this is a lot of time to spend on like a runner up, but like I felt like I wanted to give some airtime to that game because it's fantastic. And the other thing is it's like 20. It's usually on sale depending on what you get it at. You can get it as like cheap as like $10.
Absolutely.
Like $10 to $20, and then all of the microtransactions that are involved, it's all cosmetic. You don't need any of it. And they constantly release free updates and like free like new game styles and everything. And it's just such a great game, and I can't recommend it enough. So that's why it's not my favorite game of the decade, obviously, and you already know what my favorite game of the decade is.
Yeah, I already know that's coming.
But I need to talk about it because like it's wonderful. So let's move on to the actual. Let's move on to the big one, game of the decade. What you got? The fuck you?
All right. So And it's so easy. I think I find AAA games kind of a cop out. To be honest, they're and it's so easy, to look at like Spider-Man's, anything from EA, anything from Activision.
Well, if you're giving anything to EA for Game of the Decade, shame on you.
No, I'm not actually. Okay. And this is gonna sound weird because there's so many other games that are just absolutely terrific. But if you look just philosophically at this game and what it means and the content that was in it, all around, it meant a lot to me. And it's gonna sound crazy, but hear me out. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Too.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Wow.
And hear me out. This was a game made by any developer with the sole ambition to look like and rival a AAA game on a low budget.
Yeah.
Proving that you don't have to have these massive budgets to create a beautiful game, first of all. Secondly, well, first of all, they were able to do it. I believe they accomplished it. Anyone who play the game, you can't tell me the game isn't an attractive game. Yeah. Secondly, I haven't seen a game handle such dark content such as mental illness in such an interesting way. The mechanics even were interesting. It was a very, slash and roll, but it was very puzzle, and people would argue the puzzles were a little repetitious, and I agree with that. But the way they kind of moved it all together, and the content they were able to bring forth in this game, and treat it in such a serious way, but also in a beautiful way at the very end. And I won't give the
I'm sorry. I wasn't laughing at you. I just farted. It smells like popcorn.
But the way that the ending wraps up, it's interesting. And fortunately, we're going to see a second one coming up next year, which I look forward to seeing how they're going to kind of, go on from that ending, which I thought was a good.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Yeah.
Now that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Okay. So they premiered the Series X at the Game Awards this year, and then they followed it up with the premiere of Hellblade 2, which of course naturally is going to get a lot of hype, and I completely respect that. And by the way, Hellblade is a fantastic game, especially with headphones.
Oh, absolutely! What they did with the voices was amazing.
It's incredible. But you know what bothers me is people that saw the Hellblade 2 trailer and they started like typing their little fat finger comments. It looks so good. The game looks so good. You know what? It doesn't look like anything. Okay. It doesn't exist. So everybody just needs to calm down about Hellblade 2.
Agree.
We can speculate based on the first one that it's probably going to be a good game. But, it's speculation at this point. And the in-game engine, quote unquote engine graphics that they're showing, we don't really know what that means or represents just yet. So I would just say that everybody just needs to calm down for a second. I'm very interested to learn more. And I'm very excited.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like anything. I'm just interested to learn more. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just felt like I had to interject that because I see so much of that sort of like, everybody jumps on something initially, and it's like, wait a minute. Anyway.
Yeah, the hype jump, I agree. The hype jump people get from just seeing a simple trailer is a little ridiculous.
Yeah. The visuals look good, and if they do look like that in-game, then that's going to be fucking, I don't want graphics to ever get better than that.
Yeah.
Because that's
pretty much.
I don't even know if I want graphics to be that good.
Might get PTSD from watching people.
You really might, like killing people will be, you think the government regulates shit now.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to get involved.
Yeah.
All right, so Hellblade. Sorry, go ahead.
Like I said, I'll just cap off on that. I think just between, like I said, cap off philosophically. They took a small team of people and made a beautiful game, showing you don't have to have a budget of a AAA game to make something beautiful, to handle such a piece of heavy content like that. You get a little more booze.
It's the whiskey.
But to handle such a piece of content like that.
This episode brought to you by
Elijah Craig.
Smooth Elijah Craig.
And just the way that they did with the surround sound, everything. Like all games, it has a little bit of its ticks. Some of the puzzles were a little bit repetitious, but I thought, to take all that and wrap it up from such a small developer.
I actually wish it was longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think, and I'm not actually going to say anything negative about that game, especially being an indie developer. I mean, they really did a fantastic job. And you know what? It's funny that you talk about AAA indies, all this kind of shit, because you know what? I actually had just recently. It was a runner up for Game of the Year 2018, which was surprising, but I had just played it this year.
Yeah.
And beat it, which is Celeste.
Oh, that was a beautiful game.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's so many of these 2D art style games but it I mean, the thing about it is like I actually told somebody about that game and they said, well, you know, I think I'm over 2D games at this point. I remember thinking I felt like so bad for a minute because I'm like, oh man, you're missing out on something just because of that. Like it's such. I think we are reaching a point where like people are finally starting to get it, and that indie developers, they have more freedoms to publish and create these games out there. And I think sometimes it's a shame that some of these indie titles get overlooked. But like even look at a game like Divinity Sin, like Original Sin 2. You know,
that's another good example.
I mean, I guess was that THQ? Fuck,
I think
I'm gonna sound stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know, but whoever did, I think. Why do I think it was THQ? I don't know.
I'm sure we'll get corrected.
Or was that Oblivion? Obsidian. I mean,
Obsidian.
Is that Obsidian? Doesn't matter.
The power of Google.
It's a great game. And even, you know what, like we didn't talk about it, but another game that's Outer Worlds was a fantastic
what
game.
a great, you know, it almost fit hand in glove with their take on the Fallout series. And it felt very reminiscent of that. That was New Vegas, correct?
Yeah.
It felt
Obsidian, they were involved in New Vegas, were they not?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
That's why like I said, it felt very reminiscent of it.
Yeah.
Also, it was a little bit of a shorter game. I heard a little rumor you can beat it in like an hour or two.
They were doing a developer.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know if you've seen it. They're actually kind of fun to watch, but they're the developer. See, now the booze is kicking out. I'm like losing my words. The developer commentary on speed runs, and someone beat it in like fucking like 16 minutes.
Yeah,
and it was neat though because the developers were like, "Wow, I didn't think you could do that." But they're all about it, which is they seem like a genuine company, which is really cool.
I agree. The looter choice based system. Cyberpunk is another one coming in the future.
Ooh.
That it's got that same kind of feel to it. I guarantee you that it's going to be that big question web consequence.
That's CD Projekt Red, right?
Yep, and people love that shit. They love that. If I choose to do this, someone's going to die in chapter 2 that I didn't expect. Yeah. But I like that stuff. It's pretty cool. Seeing your consequences. Good game harkening back was The Witcher. I tried being the best guy in the world in Witcher 3, and I still ended up killing people with my choices. So kind of funny. But, you know, just seeing that consequence-based web is always a good part of a game.
All you wanted to do in that game was fuck bitches and kill
That's
people.
what Geralt does. Geralt penetrates monsters and women. Okay? And if you see the series, that's basically what he does. Basically what he does. That's Geralt.
All right. You ready for what you already know is my game of the decade?
Yeah. Just throw it out there. Let it die on the table.
Corey, I have referenced this game probably a bajillion and one time.
He's swapped all his porno magazines out with images of this game.
Yeah, that's you know what? Let me have this. All right. My game of the decade is Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, but
yes. A Zelda game. I know. Everyone, this has been beaten to death. I get it. But listen, hear me now. Okay? And by the way, no. You know what? I'm not even going to go down this. Okay. So let me explain something. So I think I had 2 games from my childhood that were like next level. If you like, for lack of a better term, they were games that like truly impacted my life as not just a gamer, but like it actually like impacted me as like a person. And one of which was the millennial choice of Ocarina of Time. And the other one,
Not Majora's Mask.
hey, that was a fantastic game too. And you know what? No, I'm not gonna.
I'm baiting
I feel
him.
like
I'm
I
baiting
already
him.
need so much time to talk
Baiting
about
him into going this video.
But one of which was Ocarina of Time, because although Majora's Mask was a fantastic game, I don't think it quite has the same level of completion, pacing, and everything else that Ocarina had. But it was, I can understand why a lot of people love that one. Anyway, I'm done. Okay, that's going down the rabbit hole. The other one was
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, no, that was a great game too. Anyway, the other one was Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. And that was actually and this is probably why, but that was my first Final Fantasy game, go figure. But it was also one of the first RPGs I probably ever played, like JRPGs.
That sounds about right.
But those two games had a giant impact. And I would say Ocarina maybe a little bit more so, just in the fact of like how the world, like how that world impacted me from like the start to finish. Like even like when you hit like trigger the power button on the N64, those cartridges, like they load instantly.
Yeah.
And in the first few moments of that game, you have that like piano overtone and this like fucking horse galloping in with like Link. And I was like, like I was taken from the first second that I turned that game on.
The immersion had you.
It had me. But that game just had, you know what? I watched a video at some point. I don't remember who made this video, so I can't give credit on it, and I apologize for that. But they said, I think they said the game had perfect pacing. And I think that is such a brilliant way to describe Ocarina of Time. It is just perfect pacing. But essentially, it had this like level of magic to it, right? Like, and that's something that I feel like when we're kids, like back in my day, you know, we would play these games and we would get immersed into them, and then we sort of like chase that dragon as we get older, right? Like
I agree with that.
We try to find games that sort of fill that void that we had when we were children. But I think the problem with that we realize as we grow up is we realize that the world is shit. You know, like when you're a
game
kid,
is garbage.
Yeah. Like when you're a little tyke, you're like, oh man, everything's great. Like dragons could be real, you know, like whatever it is. Like there's magic in the world. And then when you get older, you're like, everything fucking sucks.
I have to pay money for this?
Like everything sucks. So like, and I think part of that is because you also sort of, you remember those games for what they were, but you also remember that time period that you're living in, right? You remember your friends, you remember your activities, all the things that you used to do. And so as you get older, naturally, like you get more interested in, you know, adult things like sex and cocaine, you know, like the typicals. So
talk about chasing that dragon.
Yes, of course, don't do sex. Of course, that's what we're trying to say. You know, cocaine's safe. So in any case, I feel like I finally like realized that at some point in time, I came to the conclusion that, okay, I realized that that's an unrealistic goal to ever get back, is to ever get that magic. But then I played this beautiful, wonderful, sexy game called Breath of the Wild in 2017. And mind you, and this is the best way to play this game, I did not know like anything about this game. I only like researched like minor things like the name, and like I saw like some images, but I didn't really like watch anything about it. And I think that could be the difference between, you know, whether you feel like this is like a great game or like, you know, whatever.
I think you hit a nail on the head there. A lot of us, especially with this hype generation, we walk into games with these expectations.
There's too much information out there.
There's too much information and expectations, and you have this image in your head that this game is going to be ...
Yeah.
And when it's not, it turns from ... into garbage.
Yeah. And that's why, like, honestly, like Final Fantasy games and Zelda games, those are like the two games that I don't research much on because I want to be surprised. As lame as that may sound.
It's probably for the best, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's lame. It's fine. You can call me out.
I've been brutalized.
No, it's lame. Okay.
I've been brutalized by hype. Like how many times? Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
The Division 2 is kind of about that too. Just all these. I fell for hype subsequently several times, and it's a real kick in the teeth every time.
So And that being said, let me say that it was within about an hour of playing Breath of the Wild that I realized that game was a masterpiece, because that game gave me it delivered on that sense of magic that I did not think was possible to achieve in my adult life. I thought that was something that could only be experienced in your childhood, like everything's amazing kind of experience. But that game hit me in the same kind of feels that those original games gave me. Because, and I think that this is where like some people might differ on it, but that game is first and foremost, it's all about exploration, right? It's not, it doesn't have a great story. It has a passable story at best. It's not the most difficult. It might start out kind of tough, but then it gets easy. But it's all about the journey and not the destination. And when I think back about that, I sunk like 200 some hours into that game. And there's like, I can't even think of like a minute that I didn't have a good time playing it. And it was like when I think back about it, it's like, I think about all the stupid moments. Like I remember one time when I shield surfed down a snowy mountain. And then that's when I realized that shield surfing like gets damaged when you're on hard surfaces, and it shattered against a rock, and I just went ragdolling to my death while wolves attacked me. It was like the funniest thing. And then I also remember when I took a horse down a hill too fast, and we lost control, and I fell off the horse, and the fucking horse starts fucking somersault.
Something about ragdolling.
He falls off a cliff, and he drowns in the water as I watch, and that was the most disturbing thing. And yet, hilarious. Mm-hmm. And it's those moments that like you can't really experience that much. Like the mechanics, the physics, and everything that's in that game. It's unlike anything else that I have experienced in not just, the year, and not just even the decade, but it's unlike anything I experienced since childhood. Yeah.
All right.
Tearjerker.
I can see that.
And so that's why it gets my game of the decade. And you know what's funny? It's because like I feel like it's so easy to point out that game's flaws because it's not perfect. But it's easy to focus on the flaws because there's so much good in it. That like when I think about the flaws in that game, I think about, this is bad and I can't wait for it to get better. But when I think of the flaws of other games, I think, the fucking controls or whatever it is. But I am very excited, and I cannot wait to see what they do with Breath of the Wild 2 sequel that's been announced.
Maybe it's much like the Mona Lisa. Bangable from a distance, really attractive, but you really don't want to stare at her too long because you start looking at little cracks in her face.
That's exactly what it's like, and that is exactly why I'm not allowed back in the art museum. So that's my game of the decade. I could talk for a long period of time about it, but I know that we're running out of time here. So, if you haven't actually played Breath of the Wild, which by the way seems like a giant sin to me.
I know. I think I'm just doing it just to hurt you at this point.
Yeah. But anyway, so those are our thoughts. If you agree, great. If you disagree, fuck you, you're wrong. But no, so thank you for tuning in. This has been our first podcast, and
what an epic one it has been.
And we play a lot of games together, so we're going to be getting a Twitch channel together soon where we actually sit down and you can watch us
shit talk each other into oblivion.
Just shit all over. You think I think we've been pretty good to each other in this. This was kind of like a nice ease into the podcast. Next episode, I think we're going to talk a little bit about PC gaming.
All right,
let's talk about PC gaming.
All right, see you next time.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.